Good afternoon. Welcome to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful, warm, and comfy confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey, on this beautiful, glorious Father's Day weekend. To all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Wherever you may be watching or listening, as always, I thank you. I love you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. Today, guys, is a very important day, not just because it's Father's Day, but more importantly because today is actually this episode 43, is the inaugural episode of us being on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So kudos. Yes, guys, we are grinding. We are rising. The fan base has been climbing. The subscriber count has been climbing. Your comments, your shares, your likes, everything, guys. I just thank you so much. Everything has been a huge boost for us. It's been helping the show tremendously. I get comments and feedback from everybody. It's just expanding and it's growing, and you guys were able to help me to even take this step to do this, and I thank you. And we're just going to continue to grind, continue to keep providing the blunt talk, facts, and blunt talk sports podcast. Going to keep delivering the hits and the topics that most shows aren't talking about or don't really want to discuss because quite frankly, it might ruffle some feathers, or quite frankly, it might be too damn blunt. So, I thank you guys as always, and we're gonna keep it going. Now, I can honestly tell you guys as always, to catch the show, you can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts. The link will be in the description of this episode, and I will also make sure that my Facebook page and on X the link is also shared as well, so you guys will be able to catch up on any of the episodes or anything that we have backlogged or anything. It is subscriber paid and subscriber issues, so yes, if you do join, it will be a subscription. That's just going to continue to help the show grow. I have some things lined up for subscribers. There's some swag and some memorabilia and merchandise that I have lined up. Hoodies, t-shirts, and things for the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I think it'd be dope. Things for the men, things for men, things for the women, things for the children. Just different apparel, things that really help the show to continue to expand, continue to grow. Because without you guys, the show can't grow. So I thank you so much. Hopping right into it, though, we want to, a little bit to start off on a bit of a sad note. We're going to speak on the passing of the great Jerry West, aka Mr. Logo, aka Mr. Clutch. To some, he passed away last week at the age of 86. It was definitely a shock to a lot of people. We knew some people in the league circles knew he was sick. I myself, because I'm not in the fucking league circles, I didn't know he was sick. It was definitely heartbreaking to hear. It was definitely an adjustment. Definitely was kind of a shock at all. I heard it mid-afternoon while I was preparing for an episode, so it sucked. Kind of had me, change my trajectory of things that I had to do for the day. Pertaining to the episode. But nonetheless, I just wanted to say, rest in peace to the great Jerry West. And for those of you that don't know, for some of the viewers that I have that are younger that watch the show, that may be curious about what it is that made Jerry West the logo, or what about his resume that was so great that propelled him to those heights that made him so revered in league circles. I just want to touch on a few things. This is this man's resume, the great Jerry West, the resume that he leaves behind for a lot of us to try to follow and for others to emulate. He was a Hall of Famer, one not only as a player but a contributor. So that right there in itself just speaks to the greatness. He was a broadcaster. He was also a GM, and obviously he played. So just Jerry, being Mr. Clutch, doing what he do. 14-time NBA All-Star. He won the championship with the Lakers in 1972. He was the 1969 Finals MVP. Now, y'all got to get this. This shit tripped me out. I did not know this. He was the only player in NBA history to win Finals MVP in a loss. And yes, I did say loss. He lost the Finals, but he played so damn good, they gave him Finals MVP. And he's the only player in NBA history to ever have done that. So, credit there. 5-time All-Defensive Team, so definitely that had to be noticed. And also was a one-time scoring champ. And we must keep this in mind. Although he was a one-time scoring champ, he had a career average of 27 points per game for his career. So, again, great player, Hall of Famer. I mean, you run out of adjectives to say about the man, but nonetheless, rest in peace to the logo, and you do sorely will be missed. And speaking of things that are sorely missed, or things that might be sorely missed, you know, it is well known that the relationship with Jerry West and the Lakers wasn't great towards the end, and never really got repaired the way that the organization or the team or Jerry had kind of wanted. But right now, with this current iteration of the Lakers, there is a lot to be desired as far as that coaching position. They didn't get Dan Hurley, as well known, well talked about, well versed and spoken for. All the alphabet, channels spoke on it, and every podcaster and Twitter bot and monster out there, spoke on it. But as obviously known, Dan Hurley stayed at Connecticut and didn't take the LA job, which I think was actually the right move for him. I'm not really a huge fan of college coaches going into the NBA. I know that there is success. There are some success stories, although the failures, the list of them are plenty. Very, very, very long list, actually. I didn't really have time to really want to dig into it because it was that long of a list. But just something that I think the Lakers, you don't want to technically go for a retread, but you don't really want to keep trying this great experiment where you sign a guy to a 6 or 7 year contract, and we all know damn well he only got 2 years because it's the fucking Lakers. He's not going to make it 5 years. This is entertainment. That organization is just ran in a totally different way, in a totally different fashion than the average NBA franchise is ran. Which leads into a burning question, and something I definitely want to touch on, and is, should the current coaching search spring hope for the Lakers, or is it a sign of failed business philosophy? I've always said, I'll be 36 at the end of July. I've watched basketball most of my life. One thing I can always say, as long as I've watched, the Lakers have always pillaged talent. Whether they took them from this team or that team, or big trade, or everybody remembers that horrible ass Kwame Brown trade where they pretty much flipped Kwame Brown in a bag of donuts. And one of those bag of donuts actually wound up becoming Marc Gasol, but nonetheless, that was the trade that they used to get Powell. And everybody remembers Powell coming to the Lakers. That changed life for the Lakers. The Lakers wound up going back to the finals consistently, and Kobe had that running mate that he needed. That being said, that's not really necessarily a great philosophy to have winning consistently being shown to your organization and to your owner, and saying, hey, look, we're putting a product out there consistently every year that's good, that's contending, that we're building off our core young system. We got young players coming in each year. I don't even remember the last fucking time the Lakers had a core system. I'm just being honest with you. Most of their young players they get rid of. If you're not good and young early enough to help them win championships, you're traded to another team and you're possibly helping them win or out of the league. I.e. Lonzo Ball. And granted, we know he's been dealing with injury, and I hope he gets well and he's able to get bounced back and get back. But there's a long list of Lakers. Brandon Ingram, they gave up on him early. Now he's flourishing in New Orleans. Might be leaving New Orleans this offseason. Who knows? But I tend to think that this is more of a side of a failed business philosophy. I don't really know how there's really much hope that can come out of it. Usually with the Lakers, they've benefited from the fact of they've had great talent on the floor, and they had a coach that just was there to do enough to help get them over the hump, draw up a couple X's and O's in certain key situations. But it doesn't. If you're a Lakers fan, there's no reason you should have hope. In all honesty, this is the best young team that they've had in years. And in all honesty, they're probably going to get rid of half this roster so that way they can set it up so LeBron and his team could get the most out of this team and win a championship. Is that necessarily really the right thing to do when LeBron's probably going to be gone within the next year or two? Hell, in my personal opinion, I think LeBron should consider leaving this season, this offseason. But, LBJ, King James, he's going to figure out and do what he need to do, what's best for him and his family. But nonetheless, I just don't feel that the Lakers are building really a winning organization or a consistent, fluent, growing organization. Something like you see in Oklahoma City or some of these other franchises around the NBA where a young team is being allowed to develop and grow and really play well and play exponentially at a high level. And with the Lakers, it's like you got 2 years, and after that, fuck you. If you don't really work out, it's just whatever. Which leads me furthermore into the huger problem, which is their coaching search, which is them not being able to sustain guys. And this to me is just more leads into my point about failed business philosophy and the mindset of what the disconnect between ownership and the front office and the coaching staff. Since Phil Jackson's departure, so we got to go all the way back to 2010, 2011, right? Think about it, a long time ago now. I know. Since then, you have had 7 coaches. Okay, out of those 7 coaches, we're gonna go from 2012 forward. Out of those 7 coaches, you had 4 with a winning record, 3 with losing records. They all lasted a minimum of 2 years. I mean, there's no way that you could function. There's no way that you could properly tell your fan base, we're building you a winner, when our hopes are, we got to pillage this guy off this fucking roster. We got to pillage this guy off this fucking roster. We got to make sure that, we can, manipulate the cap so that way, we don't have a draft pick for the next 4 or 5 years, but somehow we're going to convince you that we can win the championship within the next 2 years. It's crazy. I mean, and listen to some of these names. Mike Brown, 42 and 29, fired. Bronny Bickerstaff, how about that? 2013, literally, this man lasted 5 games. 4-1, 5 games, fired, done. That's when Mike D'Antoni, the great Mike D'Antoni, I all remember that. That's when, Mike D'Antoni, and some people say Antoni because they don't play no damn defense. They take the D out. 2013, 2014. 67 and 87 as far as a combined record. That's obviously not going to get it done at Laker land. Fired. Byron Scott. Yes, the great Byron Scott, former Laker, 2015, 2016. And this was just horrible. 38 and 126. Again, not getting it done. Nowhere near fucking close to getting it done. Luke Walton, 2017, 2019. Another one where it's just, look at 98 and 148. Send him packing. Frank Vogel, we all know Frank Vogel was there from 2020 to 2022. Wins the championship in 2020. Winning record of 127 and 98. Sent his ass packing the year after the ring. Darvin Ham, this one is just the craziest. Darvin Ham, and I don't even know if most of y'all know this. Darvin Ham's record as the Los Angeles Lakers head coach is 90 and 74. Yet, he's fired because he lost to the Nuggets. Again, if you are a legitimate Lakers fan or you're somebody who really believes that you should have hope in the business moves that they've made, outside of signing LeBron and getting AD and getting some of the young guys as of late, everything else has just been a shit show, for lack of better words. So, very interested to see how the Lakers are going to address this. Very interested to see if they're going to be able to address this with a good coach. We're hearing the names JJ Redick. We're hearing the name Borrego from New Orleans. Who knows? But nonetheless, interesting times in Lakerland. Next topic, we're going to continue with the NBA. But in this episode, we're going to talk about the NBA draft. That I have not talked about as of late. And there's a reason why, because I wanted to take some time to really expand on it in this episode. And the question I have is, do we actually care about this draft? Because, in all honesty, I watch the draft every year. I try to stay up to date as far as, the top 30 consensus players and which guys might be coming out and which guys might be playing well, which guys, might be sleepers and all that shit. But nonetheless, just, bear with me. I watched copious amounts of film. I watched hours of films on these guys. This consensus, top 5 that they said it's coming out. And mind you, I got this consensus top 5 list via NBA.com. I don't know if this draft is like, one of those Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid drafts where it's like, hey, we completely fucking whiffed and these guys were found in the second round. They should have been, one guy was a 3rd pick in the 1st round, Joel Embiid, and the other guy was drafted in the middle of the 2nd round, Jokic. And hey, we just, we whiffed. Who knows? I don't know. We don't know if it's that draft or is it going to be a type of draft where it's like, oh, right, well, a lot of good role players here. A lot of guys, coming off the bench are playing well. A lot of guys that came in, young spot up 3 shooters or 3 and D guys, but nothing really special or really to hang your hat on. That being said, like I said, watching copious amounts of film on the consensus top five prospects, and we're gonna start with Alexander Sarr, big man out of Australia. And I implore you guys to look up all these players. I was very tired watching some of the film because some of it is EuroLeague, some of it is just National Basketball League. So it's like kind of weird because some of it's English, some of it's French, some of it's Yugoslavian, Serbian. So it's a lot of different language barriers. But basketball is basketball at the end of the day. And watching Alexander Sarr, he played for the Australian team. I liked a couple of things about him. What stuck out to me was his length, his size. He plays good defense, decent defense at least. He's definitely a shot blocker. Things that I was concerned on looking at him, 3-point shot. He shot 27% from three, which is Karl Anthony Towns-ish, but I digress. Strength and weight are also an issue. He plays a little bit more shooting guard than center. Sounds more of a Karl Anthony Towns type, talented but limited. So we'll see. I don't know, but definitely I think he's going to be one of the top 3 picks in this draft. Zachary Richet, or a French guard coming out of France. Like this kid a lot. Definitely was a 3-point shooter. It's a guy that is an off-ball shooter. Like that a lot too. Things that I think definitely were that stuck out that say for lack of better words I was kind of worried about. He definitely was inconsistent shooting the ball. Definitely inconsistent creating his own shot. And he needs to get stronger. He was, very small frame. And again, the Euro game's a little bit, more physical now than what it was maybe 15, 20 years ago. But a lot of these guys come over real light in the ass, real skinny. If you guys remember Luka had a little size to him, but even Luka was skinnier than what he was now. So it really shows, and it really depends on, how you apply the weight and how, you really get with a good strength and conditioning coach and good nutrition plan and how you apply it. So Richet's definitely going to need that because he's definitely going to have to put some weight on. I hope I'm saying this next name correctly. Tijane Salon, also from France. This one, I liked a lot of what I saw from this guy. Definitely a decent 3-point shooter. He was a cutter, good screener. The main thing that I think I felt a little bit apprehensive about when I'm looking at his game, very raw. Very young. He's 18. I believe he's just about to turn 19 in August. Very raw. Young, and needs to build strength. He's not as skinny as Richet may have been, but nonetheless, when you look up Salon's tape, you could tell if you're forwards or NBA forwards or guards with size, they're going to give him some difficulty. You're going to have to put some pennies in that pocket to get your weight up. Number 4 was Reed Shepherd, a guard out of Kentucky. Watching his film was kind of fun. It was kind of a little bit of a mixed bag, though. Things that I think of note that were pretty good. His 3-point shooting was definitely good. That's one of the main reasons why he got recruited to Kentucky. He was definitely efficient. One of the more efficient players in college basketball, which I think always needs to be highlighted because efficiency is something that needs to carry over onto the floor. If a guy, you're not always going to have a game where you're scoring. Some guys, are not going to score 25, 30 plus, for a career. Some guys are going to average somewhere between 10 and 15. 10 and 18. So you may need to actually, some games score 9 and have 10 rebounds or, have a couple assists and just be more efficient on the floor. And that helps you have more of a lengthier NBA career while you're building your game and also adding to your bag. But nonetheless, he's a cherry picker, which I think that's definitely a weakness in your game. In the NBA, being a cherry picker, you definitely won't get the ball like that. So something he's definitely going to have to work on. He's going to figure out how to create his own shot. And, that, I think, creating your own shot, that's something that's underrated going from college to the NBA. It's definitely something he's going to need to work on. And last but not least, we're going to get on Donovan Clingan from Connecticut, big man from Connecticut. Things that jumped out to me right away looking at his footage, his defensive impact, his rim protection was good. He's a good passer. Things that concern me right off the bat, his offense is definitely a question mark because there were some games and times there where his offense just lacked. Not sure why, for what reason, but it lacked. Definitely a red flag there. Another red flag, free throws were inconsistent. Yeah, I believe he shot somewhere between 65 and 68%, which is, quite garbage for a big man. Some people said that was due to his conditioning. I don't like to make excuses for guys. I kind of tend to think, you either can do it or not. But nonetheless, that's the consensus top five. Mixed bag all around. Nobody out there that's really a can't miss prospect. And, for a lack of better words, I guess that's why a lot of us probably haven't had the attention that we need. But I think, that should change because I think some of those guys are going to wind up being very key contributors on some of those young teams. And, when you think about the Rockets or the Wizards, you think about, some of them teams picking in the top five, top eight. These guys are going to possibly be playing right away. You're going to be seeing them in the summer league. Some of them are going to probably have to go to the G League just because they're not fully developed. But most of them, I think, are possibly going to be playing or have to contribute right away. Just the nature of the beast and just how things are, especially with the draft. Which leads me into another point. Where will Bronny James be drafted? I mean, there has been so much speculation on Bronny James. I can't lie to y'all. I've heard so many different people say, he shouldn't, come out this year. He should give it another year. I've heard some people say, he's been training against, professional trainers and his father, most of his life. He can't be any more ready than he is now. I tend to think the latter because, again, if you're training against NBA talent and you're training against your father, who's arguably one of the greatest players of all time, and you're preparing to play in the NBA and you're preparing like that since a kid, I don't tend to trip too much off of the college game because if there's anything about college basketball that I know, the coaches limit players. Players don't limit themselves in college. So, be that as it may, where will Bronny James be drafted? Something that's been speculated and scrutinized and convened about and speculated on a ton. And doing some research, I see that a lot of the consensus believes, media, they feel that he will be a second-round pick, possibly to the Phoenix Suns. And that's just due to, I think, more recency bias because he had a visit there. He also, within the past couple of days, has a visit with the Lakers. Not a shock there. Dad works for the team, so it only makes sense to give him a look. Nepotism 101, but I digress. You know what I mean? That's just, me personally, unless it's really corrupt and it's just causing, corruption, who really gives a damn? Because most of us, if we can get our people a job or get our brother or son or daughter a job somewhere, we do it. I would like to see him had to have earned it a little bit more, but I understand that his name is his name, and that's going to get him, open. It's going to open doors for him that possibly wouldn't be open for the rest of us. And we just got to accept that and understand that's just what it is. But I was able to sit down and look at a lot of tape on Bronny. I watched from Sierra Canyon to USC. I watched some of the Nike Hoop Summit game. I watched a shitload of tape on Bronny James because I wanted to form my own opinion. I didn't want anybody to tell me, and this is the Blunt Talk Sports podcast. We don't give anybody else's fucking opinion. We give my opinion and your opinion, and that feedback goes from there, and we just carry it forward. So no need for the others. Let's just get to the facts. The facts is, looking at his traits, he has the IQ, basketball IQ and traits to be a good player. How good is really the question. Definitely got that 3-and-D mold to him. He can get in your bag, he can get in your hip pocket and get those steals. He's a willing defender, which is always great. His three-point shot is way better than what it was in LeBron's age. Having said that, he's definitely going to get bigger. I don't know if he's reached his peak height-wise already, but defense is definitely going to be a staple with this kid's game. And I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm happy he's coming out. Marcus Jordan, no disrespect to the bro, but he ain't really fucking developed. He ain't developing the guy that we thought he could possibly be or even be a threat to his dad's mantle. So the fact that Bronny James is here and ain't nobody expecting him to be his dad. Ain't nobody expecting him to break all them records or do what his dad did. But at the same time, let's see where Bronny does. Let's see where Bronny's game falls in. And let's see what he does for himself. Let's see what type of resume he builds. So it was exciting to sit down and watch it. He definitely was growing and learning because his shot had to develop. His shot was horrible at one point. Everybody harped on USC, him averaging 6 points. He had Collier there. He had two guards in front of him where, these guys are vets. He wasn't going to get burned over them. If anybody knows anything about college ball, that just wasn't happening. I mean, unless exceptional talent, it's just not happening. So it's going to be interesting to see where Bronny falls. Like I said, people are saying possibly in that second round, possibly late first round, but who knows? We'll definitely see. But hopping right over next into our NFL segments. Aaron Rodgers. I tell you, boy. Aaron Rodgers has just, there were a ton of quotes. There was quotes from Diana Rossini that spoke on, whether Rodgers was going to be there or not, or whether the team knew. You'll see those quotes. Again, not really sure how to really take this. They said it was unexcused, but then it was excused. Really sitting back and, from a 35,000 foot view and just looking at everything, it seems like to me, giving some clarity on it, it seems like a lawyer gave them some legal jargon. They were trying to figure out how best to assess the Hassan Riddick situation because, as I reported to you guys and as you guys have been seeing, he's still holding out. He's not giving a damn about the 300,000 guys. Newsflash to the Jets. He's not giving a damn about the 300,000. So, that being said, they're trying to figure out how to tighten the reins on these guys and let it be known that, everybody's going to be judged on the same accord. There's no preferential treatment. But when you say that you knew he was going to be gone, but it wasn't excused, but then, Rodgers is making comments, the Jets being the Jets, and mixed messages. Is this really the time? And I get it. Like, don't get me wrong. There's no damn football games being played right now. No division titles are being decided. No records, no tiebreakers are being decided right now. But is this the precedent or mantra or energy that you want carrying forward into your offseason, going into training camp, that you're having? Hey, what's up? I know it sucks. The video just ended. But listen, you can catch this whole interview on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Links are in the description. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.